We will get started. Just so you know, I will be recording the meeting. So for those who need to jump out a bit early, or if you know someone who couldn't be with us today, this will be uploaded, I'm going to say probably by tomorrow, onto the NIRSA website, the NIRSA Canadian region website. So that's where you'll find all of the webinars from April as well as this month that's happening. So my name is Jenna and I'm the Manager of Membership Services at Western University. So thanks for joining us today. What I'm going to ask again is I'll just paste it in there for the emailing list to make sure that your information is on any of the tabs. What we're doing here is we're creating individual email lists per department. So this way, if you have a specific customer service or membership services question, you can send it out to this group instead of sending it all to Canada. So this way you'll be hitting the people who directly influence or are involved with customer service in some capacity. And again, if you see something else that it looks appealing there, if you want to jump into another department just to see what's happening, please feel free to include your information there as well. So before I get started, is there any topics that people want to make sure we highlight today? So that way we can have a bit of direction to include the questions or concerns or comments that you guys may want to bring up. You can jump in or you can put in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with.
That's fine. Come on.
Anything specifically that anyone wants to bring up? Nothing? Okay, perfect. So what I've done is I've created just some polls to get some information and to get us moving here. So what I'll do is release the first one, which is around opening date. So when is your facility reopening? I know that this might be one of those questions that we wish we knew the answer to, but some schools I know do have some direction. So if you want to jump in there. So when is your facility reopening? June, July, August, September, some point in the future. Perfect. Okay, so the results, we have one school opening in June, one in July, one in September, and a lot of people that have no idea, and that's okay. You know, some of my staff keep worrying, and I'm like, it's one of those things where we're all in this together. It's the whole country, it's the whole world that's happening to go through this at the same time, which may make you feel a little bit better. But are those people who are in that 88% there concerned about reopening? Are there any concerns there? Are there concerns about how do we plan when we don't know how, or when we don't really have a time frame? Where are you guys at with that? Feel free to jump in. Anybody?
We're working our way through our guiding principles for reopening. Right now, that's as far as we've gotten. We have no indication on timeline, other than we have reopened some of our outdoor fields on main campus for individual use.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Yeah, from a McMaster point of view, everything is in process. Nothing has been planned yet. I believe we're going to be meeting in the next few days.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, we're going to get to that, so we will loop there in, oh, sorry. Yeah, that was Jackie. So we'll loop there in 1 second.
Oh, I was just going to say we've been working on our restart plan without a definite start time, with the anticipation that we could be told tomorrow. And so, you know, trying to get our 4-week out, 2-week out, just have an idea of what we need to do and get as much done as possible. So when we do say it's go time, we know we're scrambling, we're sprinting, but we're scrambling less maybe.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. And that's where I'm kind of having a bit of difficulty, I think, is planning is, you know, we could plan for the summer and not reopen until September. I'm almost finding that I would rather scramble last minute when I have like concrete information than spend all this time planning for things to not really open on our scheduled time frame, I guess. So that's where I'm at. So I'm with you on planning, but not really sure how to follow through with it.
I agree with you, because we're asked to create a plan, but you're trying to read all the information. There's so many things you don't know, but you also still need to get some sort of rough idea. But yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing,
sorry, Dwayne.
I was just gonna say, I've been doing a lot of groundwork laying with our internal groups and our varsity teams, that just because we say the ARC is gonna reopen random date July 1st, doesn't mean you're getting on a field for team practices on July 1st.
Right.
Or not getting into your team room July 1st.
Yep.
So try to set expectations around that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's totally fair. What are things that people are making sure they consider or add to the checklist when they reopen?
So right now we're working on updating all of our waivers to address the contagion exclusion that a lot of insurance policies are putting into their policies. So with zero legal background, I'm trying to tackle that.
I love that. Now, how many schools, if you guys know how to do the thumbs up on here with the reactions, how many schools have waivers that students, general public, alumni sign when they're entering or utilizing your facility? So thumbs up if you do this.
Every day, you mean? Like every time they come in, or?
Nope, just like a one-time thing, and then it's uploaded into their file. So 1, 2, oh, we're disappearing. They disappear.
I don't
Okay.
know how to do it, but we have it. We have the waiver.
We do for our members, but not for our students.
Okay, perfect. So a fair amount of our schools are doing that. Awesome. Now, would that waiver be a waiver plus a PARQ, or just your waiver form that you're introducing there?
Just waiver.
Just a waiver. Okay.
McMaster has PARQ and the waiver.
Okay.
We just have a waiver.
Just a waiver.
We
Okay,
have
so
a
the big-
waiver and then a get active questionnaire.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Brian. And Laura from Lakehead saying PARQ for fitness registrations. And Amanda from Windsor also does waivers. Perfect. Okay, now, is there anyone that needs support in potentially updating their waivers? Or would like to see some copies of some waivers?
That would be awesome, because we're just trying to get it done so that we can send it off to legal and then it'll just get approval, as opposed to them waiting for them to get in order and caught up.
Perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type my email here. So if you have a current waiver that you're working on, whether you've made edits or whatever, if you want to send them to me, then what I'll do is I'll copy the email list that we now have created, and I'll send them all out. And then whatever documents that you want to work off of or share some ideas, borrow some ideas, that way you'll have you'll be able to have a collection of them versus just working on your own. So if after the call or in the next few days you want to send them, as soon as I have a good number, I'll email them out to you guys and you can look through and see if there's anything helpful.
Jackie, I have a quick question for you. What are you adding to your waiver?
I don't know what the terminology is, but it just needs to address the fact that even though their insurance policy isn't covering if they've been exposed to COVID within our facility, we've done our due diligence to make sure that we've taken all the precautions necessary.
Okay, so similar to the concept of what they're doing to contracts for people
Yeah.
coming in, if you
Yeah.
get, it's not just, okay.
I think there's two important phases to it. One, from our dealing with our legal department and our exclusion for insurance, is passing the risk of rentals that they are responsible to screen their people coming in, and they are responsible to exclude anybody that shows symptoms. And then for your general people coming in to work out, your waiver would include something that that's a use at your own risk type facility still. That we're working to mitigate stuff, but there is still the potential, and you're freely coming in and acknowledging that risk exists.
I also saw somewhere that there was a declaration of compliance that your members can sign that says that they are taking the necessary precautions. They haven't been with anyone that has been exposed to COVID-19 in the past 14 days, and they're taking all reasonable precautions to make sure that they're limiting their exposure opportunities. So that was something that I was thinking about maybe adding as well.
we were looking at adding some sort of acceptance of new protocol, but that would fall, I like this terminology, and I like the additional thoughts to go with that, so yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions about kind of reopening, different things you guys are considering, looking at, needing help with? Any reopening around that topic? Going once?
Does anyone else have a hiring freeze going on right now and they are not able to hire student staff?
We have told all our student staff that we interviewed that their start date is floating.
We've done the same. My membership services team hiring was complete. So we were about to go to the reference stage, and we just kind of left that. With aquatics, I haven't done a full hire yet for the year, but what I've done is I contacted all applicants and said, thanks so much for your interest. At this time, we can't move forward with hiring because we don't know when the facility is going to reopen, nor do we know the demand, because I'm assuming a lot of scheduling will be changing, and how we're going to be staffing will be changing. So I don't want to hire 30 people and end up only needing 10. So right now we can only hire staff who are helping with our digital platform programming. So you're definitely not alone in that.
I think what our department has also thrown out is that we have a lot of members that have a lightened workload. So having full-time professional staff act or take on the duties that our student staff would regularly be taking on. None of us are thrilled about working evenings and weekends, but it's something that has been considered, along with all of our varsity coaches that might have a limited amount of work ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
God.
That same option has been thrown as well for our recreation services staff. We don't know yet, but we're.
All right, so just looking at the chat here at Ryerson, Catherine said they provided conditional offers of employment, and she has 2 leadership staff that are assisting to move projects forward who will be starting June 1st virtually. And Capilano, they have a hiring freeze as well, and they've gave tentative offers. So I'm sure that doesn't help, but just know you're not alone. Perfect. Any questions around hiring? All right, let's move on to number 2, which is, will you be using a reservation system when you reopen? Yes, no, or undecided? You got a big head nod there, Dwayne.
I'm just telling the rest of my team that's on, or our team that's on here, that that's the answer.
Oh.
Wasn't sure if it was a decision.
Well, as of right now it is, but.
You just made it. There you go.
Yep. Okay. Good to know.
Perfect. Okay. So we have 39% saying yes and 61% saying no. I know that Jackie jumped in a minute. Oh, wrong button. Jackie jumped in a minute ago asking about the repercussions for not showing up for the reservation system. So we'll go there first to answer that question. So has anybody worked through that scenario yet? That if you sign up for a Monday at 9 o'clock and you're not there for your Monday at 9 o'clock, is there a freeze? Is there a hold for 48 hours that you can't rebook? Has anyone worked on that yet? Okay, good talk.
I think we would develop something similar to what you see on golf courses, where you get one freebie for a no-show, and then your second one you're a warning. That's also going to be driven by what the demand is. If we have people that can't sign up because someone's signing up and taking a slot, that's very different than if we're not at our capacities through the time that we're on that reservation system. So. But if we have wait lists, we'll absolutely be monitoring it and following up with people that are abusing the system.
And you guys will be using the Fusion version?
We will, yeah. I got Tricia, I got that information and found it through some other channels as well. And I think that's going to be our best bet. We're just trying to decide now whether we're doing building reservations and you can go anywhere in the building, or whether we're going to try and drive down into treadmill room, weight room, those types of things. Because then we're trying to figure out how you control the flow of traffic through the building to keep the treadmill person out of the weight room.
Yeah.
Or whether we're just better to have 50 people in for an hour slot.
Yep. And Laura
Queen-
had said that she watched the how-to video with Fusion reservation system, and it was pretty simple to set up. So Laura, do you have that link for the video handy in case anyone's looking to watch that?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat. It's just in my email somewhere, but I just kept like pausing it as I was starting to set up this morning. We were testing it specifically for just one of our rooms. And it was like super easy I was surprised.
Good. Okay. Awesome.
I just
Thank
posted
you.
that.
I was curious, and maybe this is a better poll, but I was just wondering what length of time people are looking at if they're scheduling their workouts, how long they're looking at. Like right now we're looking at an hour and a half, but for the amount of people you can run through at half capacity, maybe an hour and a half is too long. Maybe they should be able to get their hour, within an hour or 45. And then how long is cleaning after too? I guess it depends on the facility. And I think at first we're going to be a little longer, but.
So let's do this. Thumbs up if you're 0 to 60 minutes, and a clap if you are 61 minutes and over.
You think? No, I don't think we should be.
If you don't know, just smile pretty. James. Perfect. So it looks like we have a fair mix here. Okay, so looking 35 or 45 to 90 minutes. So Jackie's picking both reactions here. Okay, so if you are closing in between for 0 to 60 minutes, go back to your thumbs up. And if you are closing for 61 or longer minutes, we'll pick the applause. Okay, so it looks like everybody's closing for an hour in between. So let's do this. If you're closing 0 to 30 minutes, thumbs up. 31 to 60 minutes, the applause. And a bit of a mix there. Okay. So maybe happy medium 45 minutes. So it's looking, I would recommend looking at that hour just for the first week or two to see how long that's going to take you. It's better to kind of also have a breather before that new group comes flying in as well, to give your staff a little bit of a break. And then it looks like there was a mix as well for the reservation period, whether that was going to be an hour or an hour and a half. We will probably look at the hour just so we can get more people in. Because again, by the time you look at that and add up those extra half an hours, you can probably get another 2 to 3 rounds in per day, which if you're busy is going to be helpful, because a lot of machines will be closed off and the number of people that you're going to be able to allow into the facility is going to decrease very quickly once you notice your spacing capacities, which Dwayne was talking about on the facilities webinar last week. So that might be something to consider as well, as what's your volume going to be and how many people do you hope to get through in a day. And that difference of a half an hour might give you that extra few rounds of people that you can get in. All right, Ryerson is looking at 90 minutes with a 45-minute clean in between. Jackie's group is looking at 45 to 90-minute time slots. And then there was a question here that we'll look at, operational hours. Let's go to that since we're talking about reservations. Is anyone going to be adjusting the hours that they're open, their facility hours? If yes, do you want to maybe throw them in the chat as opposed to everybody throwing them out? The visual might be a bit easier. And maybe just put a star in, like, are you closing half an hour early? Are you closing 2 hours early? What does that adjustment look like on your campus? And you can just sit pretty if you have no idea. So Queens looking at shortened weekends. Lethbridge College, reduced hours but no final decision. Capilano University, potentially less open due to student staff budget cuts. UBCO, no changes yet since you're still in summer hours, but that might change. And then University of Winnipeg, looking at 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Not sure about the weekend. And then you'll see Ryerson there. So for those adjusting hours, is this based on staffing? Is this based on potentially a cut in ancillary fees so the budget won't be there? Where are the changes stemming from?
I think it's a combination of both, because we're probably going to have increased staffing during the time that we are open to meet all the cleaning needs, but we're definitely not going to have any more money than we had, and we're probably going to have less. So looking at a combination of those two.
I think for us, a lot of it, I mean, I don't know for sure because we haven't really discussed it, but we had talked about no weekends. But I also think between the staff, we want to make sure that there's a manager present at all times. And that is mostly Monday to Friday. We do have some weekend people, but I think it's making sure that at first we're doing it right, maybe start slow and then open up a little more. But our summer hours start July and August.
Oh, okay.
We're similar to Dwayne, where it's a mixture of both, but at the same time, it's to allow for sufficient cleaning prior to opening and preparations, and then after, once we close, for our staff to be able to do that. So our staffing hours won't change too much, but our hours of operations are going to change.
Now we're, as of right now, Western's in a blended model for the fall. I know many schools are looking online. So if you are an online campus, or you could also be blended as well, are there concerns about being able to get enough staff for the facility hours you're planning for? And if yes, how are you going to try and navigate that? What is that going to look like?
I think we'll be looking at repurposing some staff if, it's already been mentioned, but if the varsity coaches don't have anything going on, then in order to keep them on the payroll, they could be repurposed if we're open to different areas of the building. We've always tried to hire a mix of local Kingston people and out of town students. Just for that very reason, especially so we have coverage during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was also thinking that some of our out of town staff, if they knew they had a job here, would probably move back, since they've all signed their leases back in January anyway. So I would imagine we wouldn't have to, depending if, especially if our hours are shut or a little bit shortened, we wouldn't have too much trouble getting staff at this point. We're waiting for something to do.
We also have the ability to sort of steal some of our event staff and our varsity event staff. So there are more people that we could draw from in all likelihood.
Awesome. Anybody have a major concern with staffing? While we're on that topic, how are you looking to conduct your staff training for your team returning?
Question. We haven't tackled that one yet. I think we're starting to plan it, but I mean, I think it's going to have to start with hopefully some staff meetings, schedule some prior shifts, just going through, like have a list of everything we need to do. And I think we talked about this before, but I think we have to assume that we'll have to really be there all the time.
Yeah, and making sure that cleaning is being done properly, and yeah. So we are looking at conducting some virtual training before we bring them back. So we're going to be doing some video filming, because basically at this point, everybody's been absent from the facility for 2.5 months at the minimum. So things are going to be forgotten. Obviously, things are going to be so incredibly different when we reopen. in what that's going to look like. At this point, I don't think any of us 100% know what that'll look like, but there's going to be a lot of training that needs to be done on PPE, on admitting members into the facility, how the reservation system will be opening. So I think that's something that we need those answers, but we're going to be designing virtual videos. It doesn't have to be or facility specific, but there's, you know, topics that we're all working on that we can potentially create videos together and share them all instead of everybody doing individual videos. I'm not sure what that would look like, but it's something we can absolutely see if it's possible. But again, it depends what each institution's doing and how to train. But for us, virtual, as soon as we know who's coming back and when they're coming back. And then from there, we will probably close or remain closed for a few days to fully take the staff through and train them. Any other comments on staff hiring, training, operational hours? Okay, we'll move on to what we're talking about, who's coming in. Will you be limiting access to only students when you reopen? So this means students only. You will not be allowing access to alumni, general public, faculty and staff. Perfect. Okay, give you a few more seconds. Anyone who hasn't voted? All right. So here are the results. So 5%, one person said yes, they will be limiting it. 33% said no, and 62% are undecided. So is there any questions that anyone has around this topic or anything they would like to share or ask? Or
I was just gonna throw in, I wrote down undecided because I don't know what the university is gonna require us to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they will be allowed because we have a lot of returns, and I think the university doesn't always realize that we do. I mean, sure, the majority of our membership is our students because they pay athletic levies, but the other parts of them are our public and alumni. Little guest appearance. And but yeah, it's figuring those details out, but hopefully we will. But yeah, that'll depend on what the university decides for campus.
Totally fair. Yep. Anyone else?
I think the only people that we were thinking about limiting were those like drop-in users from the community, but we were definitely going to stay open for staff and faculty because they're mostly our population in the summer anyways. So, and then the poor kids that are stuck in res, there's a few of them left that we want to really open up for. But yeah, the only people that we're really thinking about not including in our reopen plan at the beginning are the community members.
So would that be general public memberships, day passes?
Both, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Those.
Good. Anyone else? Okay, so otherwise everyone's kind of still working through what that's going to look like. And now, is this decision for anyone based on whether you get the student ancillary fee for your fall term or not? So if there's the cut in the budget there, are you going to try and make up some revenue by still allowing those memberships, or is it something no one's even really thought of yet?
I think it's something that we've thought of because I know we've talked about it at our staff meeting, but I think it's making the university realize that something that's a strong consideration for us, that we lose even more if we're not allowing our community members to come in.
Perfect. All right. Anything else around memberships?
Can I ask a quick question with that?
Yeah, please.
Just clarifying, is anyone looking at not charging when they're allowing their members back? So not students, but like your community members, because part of your facilities will be closed, or like reducing costs?
Great question. So I don't have an answer for you on that one.
We had a number of members that because we ended halfway through March that had paid for the whole month of March, or that had planned. So we're probably going to give them an extra month or month and a half, like to start with, just to make up for being closed. But I don't think we had talked about at this point in time reducing fees for a reduced kind of service they're going to have.
Okay, thank you.
Now, for the 2.5-month closure, are you looking at doing membership refunds, or are you looking at just extending their end date?
We're extending.
Yeah.
We extended for our annual passes, but then we did a credit for their academic passes and then refunds for monthly passes.
We suspended all the payroll deduction applications, all the members, and also we are processing refunds, and also we are adding credits to their accounts.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to add on to that, we're doing extensions, but if anyone preferred a refund or something else, as well.
And that's how we've handled it, yeah.
Yeah.
We also may allow members to use the facilities for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I guess, or a month, right?
All right. They said they are extending, and Kevin has said that everyone's memberships are currently on hold. Awesome. All right. Anything else around memberships? Doing well here. All right. And Queens is extending. Okay. Equipment rental, the big one. Will you be offering equipment rental and towel service? Yes to both, yes to one, or no? And I should have put undecided, sorry. And if you don't know, don't feel you have to vote. Okay. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of undecided. 7 are saying no. 3 are saying yes, but no towels. And then a whole bunch of people are still not sure, which is okay. So for those who are going, those 3 lovely people who are doing equipment, what equipment will you be renting out? If there's anybody brave to jump in and chat here.
We'll do like badminton rackets and some balls, but we've come up with a plan where you sign it out, and then once you're done using it, it will go into a different bin so it can be sanitized and cleaned before put back into the general population.
This is Laura from Lakehead. I clicked that. We haven't talked about that, so I'm not sure if we're looking at doing that equipment. I was just asked to brainstorm a system for that. So we're looking kind of the exact same thing Brian's doing, making sure when it gets returned, it goes through a sanitation process before it can be checked out again. But we really only check out like basketballs, soccer balls, and that's about it.
Awesome. Now, how are you encouraging, and this sounds funny, but a clean birdie amongst a badminton game when both partners are touching the birdie? Because that's where we're struggling, is looking at all different drop-in activities and playing that devil's advocate. Basketball is an obvious one. Volleyball, again, is an obvious one where everyone's touching, big group of people. Soccer as well. But we kind of came to that badminton where we're like, well, can be socially distanced, but then if everyone is touching the same birdie within the game, how are we doing our part on that? Random question, but again, things we're thinking of.
Our badminton birdies are a resale item for us. We actually sell them, so they have their own, or they can bring their own. So we don't actually lend the birdies.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll probably ask people to bring their own equipment if they have it. If not, then making sure that they wash their hands before and after usage.
Perfect.
Not something that we've considered yet, but I heard that there's somewhere that was going to use 2 different colored birdies, and you're only allowed to touch the birdie that's your own color, and you would just play from wherever it landed and then exchange it for your own. I don't know how that will work, but that was something that I heard of somewhere else doing.
Could be a whole new sport, Jackie. Could be a
Yeah.
whole new sport. Love it. Okay. Are there any questions around drop-in activities? I know it's not 100% customer service, but at our department it is related. So is there any questions about equipment rental, towel rental? Yeah.
Everybody activities like that? Because I know our gymnasium is going to be closed, or at least at this point we plan on keeping our gymnasium closed for initial. So none of those are even going to be options. That our courts, our racquetball courts, as well as our gymnasium.
We might be in the same boat as you, and I know I mentioned this on the facility talk, but our gyms might become academic classrooms as they're trying to really get this blended learning. So they're going to need bigger spaces. We were going to move our weight room into 3 of the 6 gyms to spread out equipment. That's on pause right now, but we weren't going to necessarily start with drop-in. We were going to use the space to really have more weight room equipment, I guess, available as opposed to in the location it is now.
We'll be looking at something similar, moving items out of a congested cardio room into a gymnasium or a racket court, because then it provides social distancing for that equipment, but it also prevents unauthorized use of those other spaces.
So then if you're moving equipment into another space, so I don't know how your facility is set up, but then you need even more staff because you're monitoring 2 different areas. So yeah. So I know we've looked at a possible location to move some equipment, if just because the air quality, that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
I don't know that we have the resources to split things up and have things going off in 2 different locations.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 different workout spaces. So we'd be looking at trying to contain those to maybe 2 floors instead of 4 floors initially. But it's all, as I said, it's all preliminary at this point.
Okay, anything else around that topic? All right, what have we not touched base on that you guys were hoping to bring up or discuss? Any questions you're working through?
Has anyone else explored ActiveNet's ability to run like a reservation booking system rather than Fusion? Sounds like Fusion has their shit together. Not sure about ActiveNet yet.
That's a strong word. Sorry. Loud.
Don't worry, we're recording. It's all good.
There's a testimonial for their website.
We'll let you know if they have their stuff together and how reliable it is. We'll leave it at that. Is there anyone on the call thumbs up using ActiveNet? I got no thumbs up. Oh, we got 1, Brock. So maybe you can connect with that team. I know we got a few Brock members on here, and their email addresses. Oh, and it also looks like Windsor. So you have their email addresses if you want to maybe reach out and you guys can tackle that one together. Anyone from Brock want to let us know about potentially if you're using the reservation system or where you're at?
Hey there, this is Kane from Brock.
Kane, thank you.
I had a lengthy phone call this morning. The facilities module isn't my real realm, but there is some possibilities with limitations to their reservation facility module for booking the spaces. You know, Brock is unique. There's many entry points. We don't have one general entry point, so there's a lot to take in consideration. But there is the facilities module, which you can book spaces online. You can set a schedule to book the spaces. You can have conflicting, so you can have like a set amount of people in the facility, and they can make a conflicting booking to up to that amount of capacity. There is you have to check them out kind of thing. So, you know, there's a lot to consider. We can talk about it more though if you guys get it up and running, or if we get it up running and you want to sort of hash out some ideas.
Awesome, thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Kane. Anything else? Thanks, Jackie, for bringing that up. Anybody else have anything they want to work through, or maybe looking for some support and we can team up? Everybody's quite happy and content. All right, well, you guys just got back 15 minutes. So what we need to do before you go is just double check that your information is on any of the mailing lists that you'd like to be included in. I'll post the link there again. The other thing is we need to pick our June webinar date. Is there anyone interested in facilitating this session? Come on.
You do such a great job, Jenna.
This will be my third one, guys.
Oh, now.
All right, nobody wants to do it? Okay. Okay, is there any dates that you guys want to look at? Thumbs up if you want it in like the first 2 weeks of June. Applause if you want it in the last 2 weeks of June. Or just don't worry if you don't care. Oh no, we're divided. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it looks like the last half worked. So let me just open up the form I have to make sure we don't hit the same date as another webinar. And this way you guys can put it right into your calendars. How is June 23rd? Tuesday, June 23rd. Tuesday, June 23rd, 1 p.m. I got some thumbs up. Dwayne says no. Are you my only no?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so we will go with Tuesday, June 23rd. That's a month from now at 1 p.m. You guys will have access to that mailing list, so maybe just write that or copy and paste that link down somewhere if you want to grab somebody's contact info after. If for some reason your facility is going to be reopening and you need some help with something, or you're just looking for some documents, feel free to send it out and we'll jump in and help where we can. And again, remember your homework. If you have a waiver you're working on, send it over to me. I'll compile them and I'll get them all out to you guys as soon as we have a good number. Sound good? Perfect. Well, thanks for jumping on. Stay healthy and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.